Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to watch this short Train the Trainer video, which you will be able to use as a valuable resource during your time as a trainer. My name is Mark Treichel, and I am the Executive Director of our training department. I have been employed with the company for over 20 years, and in my current role as an Executive Director of Training for 5 years. I actually started with the company as a trainer just like yourself. So I encourage you to take full advantage of our internal training and career paths. Congratulations all and welcome aboard. Let's get started. What can you expect to learn from this presentation? This presentation is expected to assist you with selecting and preparing a training site. This may sound like a simple task, but there is much more to it than you may imagine. How to select the right trainer for your specific training purposes. Learning theories and how they are best applied to adult learners specifically. How can we make sure training sites and instruction are conducive to learning, which is very important. Building a curriculum roadmap and how it guides learners. Pre and post training activities. Program design implications for the transfer of learning. What type of activities can be utilized during the training process? And there are multiple. Levels of management support training from the lowest to the highest levels. And how do we assess a training program's success? First, we start with selecting and preparing a training site. You have to and you must make sure it's comfortable and accessible. Comfortability is very important. I'm sure we've all been in meetings at some point in our career, or maybe not, where we felt hot or the seats were uncomfortable or something about the environment just wasn't perfect. And please make sure that the environment is accessible. You do want all your trainees to show up, don't you? Ensure that the room is quiet, private, and free from interruptions. This is very important. Any outside interruptions could easily distract any of your trainees. Make sure that the training space you select has a sufficient amount of space for trainers to move around easily, such as yourself. You want to be able to interact and keep your trainees engaged in the training, and one way to do that is making sure that there's sufficient space for you to maneuver around the training space. Make sure it offers enough room for the trainees to have adequate workspace. Not only should you, the trainer, have free workspace, but the trainees should be able to interact with each other adequately. Make sure there's good visibility for trainees to see each other, the trainer, and any visual displays or examples that will be used. It is very important that each trainee could see each other and could see the visual aids that are being used, or they could easily become disinterested. Other considerations should be noise. We mentioned this earlier. Try to limit noise from any heating, air conditioning, and adjacent rooms that may be holding classes or meetings. Colors can be very important. Colors such as oranges, greens, blues, and yellows are warm and inviting colors. Blacks and browns can psychologically become fatiguing and make a room feel smaller than it actually is. Room structure. Use rooms that are square in shape. Lighting. The main source of lighting should be fluorescent lights. Incandescent lighting should be spread throughout the room and used with dimmers when projection is required. Carpeting should be placed in the meeting areas. Meeting room chairs should have wheels, swivels, backs that provide support for the lower lumbar region. Many meetings can go on for a number of hours, and a comfortable chair could be a key ingredient and product to have with the success in your training. Make sure you eliminate glare from metal surfaces, TV monitors, and mirrors. Ceilings, ideally, should be 10 feet high and make the room feel much more spacious. Try to ensure that there's outlets available every 6 feet around the room for all electronics and equipment that may be needed for the training. Check the sound and absorption of the sound from the walls, ceiling, floor, and furniture. Most importantly, make sure that trainees that are sitting in the middle or the back of the training site can hear you adequately. And lastly, check that the room has permanent screens and a computer with internet access. Next, we can discuss training room seating options. Fan seating is conducive to allowing trainers to see from any point in the room. Trainees can easily switch from listening to a presentation to practicing in groups, and trainees can communicate easily with everyone in the room. The second type of seating which can be utilized is classroom type seating. This seating arrangement is best used when the training primarily involves knowledge acquisition, with lecture and audio-visual presentation being the primary training method. This type of seating also allows the trainee interaction with the trainer, but it also makes it difficult for trainees to work in teams. A third type of seating which can be utilized is conference type seating. Best used when training emphasizes total group discussion with limited presentation and no small group interaction. And the last type of seating that we see here on this chart is arranged in a horseshoe shape and is best used when training requires both presentation and total group instruction. Now we will move on to discussing choosing a trainer. If management or staff trainers are not going to conduct the training, then selecting outside trainers or consultants is a very good option. They should have expertise in the topic and experience in training. A number of bullet points that you should consider when selecting a training are: first, do they understand our industry and day-to-day reality? Is the trainer that you're considering hiring knowledgeable in our business and the reality of our day-to-day responsibilities and goals? This is very important. Do they customize their content? Does the trainer or the company you are considering hiring customize their content to our specific needs and wants as an organization? Or do they use the same content for every organization that they train? It is highly preferred that the educational and training content can be customized to our needs. Do they provide a learning journey, an outlook for our trainees? Do they offer multi-channel hybrid learning options? And after training is completed, do they measure progress? This next slide discusses learning theories. There is a ton of information here that I would like you to become familiar with and will take further education for you to become excellent at. You can see theories listed such as reinforcement theory, which enforces positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement; social learning theory, which involves the behavior that is reinforced or rewarded tends to be repeated; goal theory, what are individuals' goals that influences a person's behavior by directing their energy and attention to accomplish these goals. Needs theories suggest that to motivate learning, trainers should identify trainees' needs and communicate how training program content relates to fulfilling these needs. Expectancy theory suggests that a person's behavior is based on 3 factors: what they expect, instrumentality, and balance. And also adult learning theory, specific theory on how adults learn. Now, ensuring the training site and instruction are conducive to learning. Creating a learning setting, which we discussed earlier in the slide of preparing a training site and location. Preparation of materials. Know your audience, their age, the generation they're from, and personality differences. These all exist within every training session. Pre-training, enhance motivation to learn through communication. Communicate with your employees and the trainees. Pre-work, what needs to be done prior to training, and getting managers involved. Provide an overview of the course. Tell trainees what to expect, what they will learn, and how it can be utilized. Help trainees retain and recall training content. Manage the classroom. You're the leader. Interacting with trainees. Be there to answer questions, concerns. Dealing with disruptive trainees. Try to use activities that keep them interested, engaged. At last resort, ask all disruptive trainees to leave, but only as a last resort. And managing group dynamics. Next is creating a curriculum roadmap. What is a curriculum roadmap? Refers to a figure showing all of the courses in a curriculum, the paths that learners can take through it, and the sequences in which courses have to be completed. This curriculum roadmap basically takes you from beginning, middle, to ending of a training course. Here we simply give you an example of a curriculum roadmap of an information security company. You have the intro to information security, training programs for certification exam, and 3 final boxes: security leadership essentials, IT project management, effective communications for security professional, and law of data security investigations. This brief roadmap shows trainees exactly what and when they will be learning. What are some pre- and post-training activities trainers should perform? Pre-training, learning needs analysis, planning and conceptualizing, and promoting. Post-training, evaluating, and following up with trainees. Program design implications for the transfer of learning. Determine whether the learning environment and learning conditions should perfectly match the job environment. Are we going to be dealing with near or far transfer skills? Near transfer includes responding to predictable situations with standard responses. For example, answering phones, client questions, scheduling appointments, and using software. Far transfer includes responding to more variable interactions with people or equipment and unpredictable responses. Can be used to promote original thinking, to develop solutions, create a new product, or solve a difficult problem. Some educational activities that can be considered when conducting training courses. Are you going to conduct your training course as in a formal education setting? Will you include assessments, exams, to see if the trainees absorb the information? Will you involve group projects? Have the trainees break out in groups, discuss problems, issues, come up with creative solutions in groups? Will you involve e-learning? Will trainees be able to download YouTube videos, webinars, podcasts, visit websites, view videos on their own time? Will you encourage discussions between all participants and trainees in the group? Will you provide peer review? Will trainees be able to give other trainees their feedback and advice and knowledge? What devices may be used? Cell phones, tablets, laptops, the cloud? And possibly, but very rarely, is a field trip necessary? Can this add significantly to your trainees' experience? Here we see levels of management support for training. If we focus on the bottom part of the graph, we start with the lowest support possible. Acceptance. This would be a manager permitting employees to attend training, acknowledging its importance of the training. The next step up, and a little more supportive, is encouragement. Accommodating attendance at training through rearranging employees' work schedules, endorsing employees attending the training. At the midway point of management support, you have participation, where the actual manager attends the training sessions him or herself. Now getting more towards the higher level of support, we have reinforcement. Does the manager discuss progress with trainees? Ask how to support trainees' use of their new capabilities? A bit higher up, we have practice skills. Does the manager allow trainees the opportunity to actually practice what they just learned and trained? And the highest level of support, teaching in program. Does the manager participate as an actual trainer? Here we have assessing a program's success. How do we know as trainers that the program that we just gave to a number of trainees was successful? There are a number of different levels, 1 through 5. I would like you to review this chart and become very familiar with it. Do you feel comfortable, or is it necessary to justify the economic value of the training? Are you going to observe your new trainees on the job? Will you apply tests and exams? Are you going to email out a survey? Do you want to see work samples? Or possibly conduct interviews? Here we have a final chart with how we could also measure success. So once again, my name is Mark Treichel, your Executive Director of Training, and I hope that this short but effective seminar gives you a good outlook and template to help you be successful as a trainer. Congratulations and good luck.